Okay, I think we're live. Luis, can you confirm we're live?
Yes, please. We are live.
Okay. Welcome everyone. You are all welcome to this webinar, to this masterclass today, and we have very exciting, a very exciting trainer today, Diego Gonzalez, and we've also got already our moderator is in the house. The host is Josephine Olok. She's already in the house. Thank you very much. Can you advise me? I'm expecting the CEO of Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. Is he online? Have you seen Mr. Dyson Okumu? Luis? Not yet? Okay, no problem. Not yet. Okay. All right. So I'll introduce him when he comes in. I wanted really to introduce him for a particular reason, but we shall introduce him when he comes in. So at this juncture, I'm happy that we have a very exciting topic today, talking about AI policies, AI laws, regulations. What is that legislative environment in which we are going to play when we're interacting and using artificial intelligence? That's what we are going to be talking about. And of course, we are very delighted to the Global Skill Development Council, who have given us a very skilled person in this space, who's going to take us through the entire process, and that's Diego. He will give me the actual pronunciation of the name later, but I will call him Diego for now. Yes, yeah. So we are ready for the session. So we're not going to lose any time. Give me at this point the opportunity to introduce our host, the moderator. But before I do that, maybe some people have not met me before. I'm Dr. James Sonyoin. I'm the board chair for Vision Africa AI. Vision Africa Artificial Intelligence is the organization that brings you these master classes in collaboration with our strategic partner, that is the Global Skill Development Council. So before we go ahead, my role is just to introduce the moderator. The moderator will then introduce the facilitator, Diego, and then she will carry on with the session. I will come back later when Mr. Okumu comes back. I wanted to introduce him because actually I'm excited. We're building a very strong partnership with the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda, and I thought you would also greet the participants so that you know who are the people who are building strategic partnerships with. So just in a brief, Josephine Olok is among other things, she's a director of Vision Africa AI. So I'm really privileged to be serving with a very distinguished governance expert like Josephine Olok at the Vision Africa Artificial Intelligence. But also I can emphasize that Josephine is a chartered director, and I can assure you in Uganda there are very few chartered directors. She's a qualified risk director with over 15 years of board level experience, both in the private and public sectors. She has a lot of experience in fintech, banking, multimedia, insurance, manufacturing, oil and gas, and also software industries. Her board roles have taken her through various organizations like Britam Life Uganda, United Bank for Africa, Uganda Manufacturers Association, and then board and audit risk committees at Vision Group, and she's also chaired the FITSPA, Financial Technology Service Providers Association of Uganda. She's currently the co-founder and director of Lumjo Consultants, a company that's really very active, especially in banking and finance. So she has done a lot of work there. Of course, she previously also has been involved in several transformations in tallow oil in Uganda and Kenya, Barclays Bank, Equity Bank, Posta Uganda, which is now Pearl Bank, the Central Bank of Uganda, and other organizations. She's as I mentioned, a chartered director from the Institute of Directors of London, and also a qualified risk director. And of course, she holds several qualifications in corporate governance, IT, artificial intelligence, risk, cybersecurity, technology, and ESG, that is environment, social, and governance. So basically, she has a lot of expertise in governance. She has an MBA from the University of South Wales and a Master of Science in Advanced Computing from the Imperial College of London. As a passionate STEM advocate and gender equity champion, she volunteers her time as a mentor, especially in that space. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together and welcome Josephine to moderate today's session. You're welcome, Josephine. Josephine, I think I've seen Dyson. Josephine, yes. Just a minute. I think I've seen Dyson in the call. Just a minute. Can you upgrade Dyson, Luis? I see him there, so that I can introduce him. Then we continue. Okay, Dyson, you're welcome. I don't know. I don't see your camera, but
hello.
Yes, you're welcome. Welcome to the session.
Okay, thank you very much, James and
yes,
my colleagues. I'm sorry the connection was a bit disturbing, but I am very, very happy to be here.
Okay.
I think without wasting a lot of time, my name is Dyson Okumu. I'm the CEO of the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda, and we would like to work together on this project. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, we are working on a very strategic partnership with the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda, and the CEO is here with us in the call. In the next few days, we'll be giving you more details on what we are actually cooking. We'll come out and share with you, the audience, the programs that we'll be running together as the Vision Africa Artificial Intelligence and the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. Thank you so much, Dyson, and over to you, Josephine.
Thank you very much, Dr. James, and thank you, Dyson. I hope I'm audible. Please indicate if I'm audible.
Yes, I can hear you. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think today we are going to talk about the governance around AI. As you all know, AI has already been embedded in a lot of the systems that we use, and it's already shaping decisions and operations. So adoption is there, but understanding the laws, the policies and regulations is not there. And I think there is a gap between those who are adopting AI responsibly and those who are not adopting AI responsibly and exposing their organizations to risk. So by the end of this session, I hope you realize that the biggest risk to your business isn't AI itself. It's not knowing the rules around AI. So I'm particularly pleased today to be joined by our expert speaker, Diego Gonzalez, who brings deep experience in this space and who will guide us through real-world applications, the case studies, and also what good looks like in navigating AI governance. So please feel free to comment, put in your comments in the chat, any
Sorry, Josephine, I can't hear you. Is she frozen?
questions in the chat as we will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So Diego, over to you. Please introduce yourself and head with. Yes, I hope.
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Hey, how are you guys? My name is Diego Gonzalez. I'm part of the GSDC board, and well, what the work that we do on GSDC is we provide consulting services and certification process for a lot of the new technology that is out there. I've been working. I'm based in Mexico. I'm between in Mexico and the U.S. I've been working on public politics, AI regulations specifically, and the framework around how to deploy a secure AI environment in most of the industries, right? Um, what I've been doing that's a brief bio of myself. I've been in technology for about 20 some years, and I've been working on creating certifications. I'm certified in a broader range of IT aspects of the business, and I'm also working as part of the committee for attracting investment to the country and the federal government here in Mexico, specifically on public policy and governance, because all the companies are looking to deploy AI models, but we need to do it on an ethic way, right? On a responsible way. And part of the conversation today, we're going to be going through a couple of slides where you're going to be able to raise your hand, ask any question, and but if you have any if you want to add something during the conversation, you are very welcome. Also, I'm the president of the Guanajuato State Technology Cluster that we are working with the state government to create new economic units or new startups, new companies for the state. And pretty much, I'm just like it says there at the end, right? I'm just bridging that gap between trending IT and the public sector to be able to select and deploy the correct framework, technology, and procedures for your company. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen. You let me know if you can see. Let me hold on. All right, are you able to see my screen? Just
Yeah, we
so
can see your screen, Diego.
okay.
Thank you. We can see your
Awesome,
screen.
awesome. Okay, so those that's part of what we're gonna be working today is we're gonna split the conversation in five main areas, right? So the explainability of the AI models, the framework around ISO 42001, the algorithmic bias in developing AI models, the data privacy and the rack service that we are consuming nowadays, and the agentic AI governance. At the end of the presentation, I have the same QR code. So if you want to scan it later, don't worry if we start moving forward. Okay. All right. So what do I do? I create presentations like this one for the people to be able to understand it like on a very easy way, right? Because there's a lot of information around AI. There's a lot of user level information about like I don't know Anthropic or we everybody's using Claude today, or we have Quen, we have Grok, we have ChatGPT. There's a lot of user application level information, but we need to be working around the governance on how to use those AIs, right? Those models. So that's why we split those five main key topics, and we're going to be working through each one of them. And something that I keep pushing that one, right? So you need to get certified. As part of your continual improvement process, there's a lot and tons of ways where you can get the certification process. And specifically, I mean, I have vendor certifications like Cisco, Juniper, AWS, Azure, but I've been working as part of the board of members on GSDC to get certified on like main key topics from ISO 42001, blockchain, AI professional, data centers, and ISO 27001 because everything is related, right, to the creating the service that you're going to be offering to your IT users, in this case at your company level or on a broader like a SaaS application. So really you need to certify your knowledge. I've been talking with a lot of people lately, and there's a lot of information around there. You have already that information with you. Just make it official. Go ahead and make the run a certification, get certified, because it's going to help you a lot of your career. As part of my background as well, I've been ethical hacker since 2012, software developer, Oracle consultant, and because we need to put together all this massive information that we have out there, right? So we need to be able to, what we're calling big data today. It was a lot of data back in the days, right? We're talking about like 15 years ago, so it was a lot of data that you need to process to a ETL pipeline, and it's the same process nowadays. But the problem is that we've been changing names to make it more trendy, but at the end is a lot of data, put it on a data pipe and process it. So, and when we are saying it's a lot of data, this is a visual representation of a neural network working. So what is it that it's doing is finding like the shortest path from the request that we have, if it's a supervised, unsupervised model, but at the end, it's doing the exact same thing, right? So it's finding its way by getting a feedback if that path that it took was the right one. It depends on the weight of the response. That's what it's called on AI. And but specifically, what is it that we're doing if we have this huge amount of data, right? So what is it that we're doing? We're putting a framework in between. We're going to be discussing a couple of frameworks during the conversation today. And so we have this framework here just to make sure that we're organizing the data, that we're putting the right policy around the use of that public information that we're displaying. We are putting all the security framework around it to make sure that everybody's able to use that AI model that you guys are like designing or are trying to protect. And on that cases, from the black box, what is it? There's this new model, right? So AI was a black box for everybody because nobody knew what it was doing behind the scenes. But we have results. We had outputs, right? Because we were asking questions and we're getting information out, but we didn't knew what was the process involved in between your prompt and the response that you got. So, and now we're moving that black box to a explainable AI, so XAI. It's something new that is going out there, but pretty much is we're making the LLMs or the AI models more transparent. We are taking accountability of the data that we are serving, and there's always a regulatory mandate in between asking the question, running the prompt, and getting the response out. So we need to make sure at the moment that we are creating our SaaS applications or that we are building a new app that runs based on AI, because that app, it might be running under your country regulations on that moment, but that's an application that it's out there worldwide. So we need to make sure that we are using the right regulation or act for each country. On this case, for example, on the AU is the AU Act, the Article 13 says that we need to have those high-risk AI systems. And what do we mean with high risk? Is where we have sensitive data for the citizen, right? So if we are using nationwide sensitive information for your application or your model, you need to be able to align that development to the EU Act, in this case for Europe, to make sure that the way that you are getting the information up to your model, it's been handled on an ethical way, right? So the entire process of getting the data up to your model needs to be supervised by a human person. So Article 13 says you are not supposed to have automated AI models for data ingestion. So you need to always have a human overseeing the entire process of gathering that data. That's in the case for the EU Act. But we have also the GDPR Article 22. So GDPR, I don't know if you guys heard before about the GDPR. It's a framework that talks about the cybersecurity or the security model about data management, right? Like the people sensitive data. So on that case is the Article 22, the one that is talking about on the GDPR Act, that everybody is able to get to your own data that is stored on those AI models. So what is it that basically it says, me as the owner of the data, I'm able to ask what information do you have of my person on that model. And that's a standard that it's already running out there. GDPR I will say GDPR goes first. If you are like looking into getting involved around the policies for data management or data privacy management on IT, you should get certified on GDPR, because that's the first step into data politics, because you need to be able to know the way that the data is being treated, the source of that data, if it was gathered on an ethical way, or what's going to be the process for the citizen to request access to their data on your models. So GDPR is a must-have on the AI conversation. And also on the other side of the world around NIST, that's a framework that it was designed for the DoD, the Department of Defense on the US. So NIST has a lot of frameworks. Specifically, NIST, it's the Investigation Institute, and they have frameworks for data process, AI models, federal processing systems. So it's a very well-oiled machinery, the one that they have, and you should get involved on reading NIST standards, because if we are creating this AI application, if we are processing data, or we're creating AI models, and we need to be aligned to the AI framework that we have underneath. Because if your application is running on the US, you need to be already aligned to whatever that we have as a Data Privacy Act on the US, that is the NIST framework. So NIST AI, that's something that pretty much it talks about the way that that we're supposed to have our system secure, but from an IT perspective, right? So it says you must have this security, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. It's just like a guideline. And also on the context for Africa, so the Nigeria's NDPR and the Kenya's Data Protection Act, it's kind of the same that we were talking about on GDPR. So if you see, each one of the countries or regions has their own Data Privacy Act, right? But pretty much is the same. So how I'm explaining the way that the AI models are processing the data and the source of the data, that we got that data ethically. because that's the citizens' privacy information, and like I don't know, gender, if they have any sort of disease, because there's a set of public information about each one of the persons on your country, but there's sensitive information about their person, right? Like income, your license plates, or your banking information, or your health information. So that those are like uh, we can label those sensitive data sources, and we need to avoid using data without the user consent. So that's pretty much that what we're working here on the block box to the XAI. So it's either EU AI, GDPR, NIST, or the NDPR. It covers the same. So we need to be using data ethically in our SaaS applications for AI models. All right, let me go to the next. Okay, and here's one of the biggest and outbreaking processes that the world got on last year. So ISO 42001 is a information management system for AI models. So what is it? What does it mean? We are able to certify AI models that we're currently using in your industry, in your company, and get it ISO certified. So if you have a ISO 27001 certification process already, if you have your management system, there's a lot of controls that are shared between 27001 and 42001. So the responsible AI governance around 42001, it's the same. So we need to have secure access to the LLM models running on your AI model, on your AI app. The source, the source for that data that you're using for creating those LLM training models, and the data that you're serving, they need to get certified. You need to be aligned with one of the frameworks for the management of your model. On this case, there's a new standard that is ISO 42001. You can go straight to look to what is it, the ISO 42001 certification process. Oops, sorry. Uh, Let me see. All right, are you able to see my screen again?
Yes, we can now see it.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So let me go back to the previous one. Were you able to see this last slide?
No, it was off.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so just to do a quick recap, right? So black box to XAI, this is what we were talking about. So EU AI Act, so that's for Europe. GDPR, same for Europe. NIST is for the US, and on this case, in the context for Africa, is the NDPR and the Kenya Data Protection Act. And there's another for Mexico that is the federal law for data processing for third-party persons. So, and like the summary on all these acts says, you need to make ethical decisions about the source of the data. You're not supposed to share sensitive information for the users, or on this case for the citizens, and you need to run those models secure. So on the case for NIST is a more specific way to tell you the way that you were supposed to have your model running, but it doesn't tell you like the step by step, right? So you need to come up with a cyber security management model that they also have another publication from NIST. And this was the previous presentation. Sorry, all right, so let's move forward to the next. This is what we were talking about, the regulation. So in this case, ISO 42001 gives you the management system tools along with the controls to make sure that your model is running securely locally. it doesn't matter how big it is, it doesn't matter how small or what's the percentage of AI involved in your operation. Whenever that you have AI tools running on your production system or on your business processes, you're able to get it certified. That's the neat thing about ISO 42001 because we need to make sure that we have that governance and we are using data responsibly. So, and on what is it that the scope of the service on 42001 is we are able to create a information management system to be able to audit, trace, and secure AI models on our business. There's something new that they come up with on this certification is on ISO 42001. There's a impact assessment uh, that goes right before the risk classification. If you guys are involved on ISO certification processes or audits, uh, one of the steps is you need to make to classify the probability of occurrence of a risk, right? So you need to identify the risk, so that way you can mitigate the risk along with corrective actions. But there's a new step in between that is the impact analysis. So we're talking about what happened if you have a data leakage. What happened if you have model poisoning? Model poisoning means that by providing a set of commands on your AI app, you're able to jailbreak your AI model. I have some information about a recent process that they have about auditing security in the different AI platforms. They were able to break the security very easily. So we need to make sure that there's no prompt poisoning. That's the way that you jailbreak this. Or at the moment that you're running your prompts, we need to make sure that we're not providing any other information other than what it that is being requested. Even if the person asks on a different way, we need to make sure the data is just uh, is the result for whatever that they are asking without sharing other people's data. And certifying your AI model means that you're able to like keep track of the way that the system works, right? So you're able to know what's the traceability from the data ingestion up to the data output that we get and all the information in between the processes, the biases, the algorithms in between your AI application. So we need to be able to governance that data process and monitor it. And on this case, I mean, whenever that you get your company, your process certified, gives a sense of trust for your users. So if you are creating an AI model or an AI application and you get your ISO standard certification, it gives you more credibility and people know that you're going to be treating their data ethically. So that's one of the main purposes on ISO 42001. So, and for that one, on this case, I want to know if anybody of you guys have been able to get involved on any ISO deployments. If you had before, just drop me a line on the chat, and I'll be reading your answers. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's move forward to the next step on this master class. So so we already talked about we have our regulation acts, right? Each one of the countries has their own data privacy act. We know already we are at the level of we need to be aligned to that data management framework for the privacies of the users or the citizens. And now we move down to the process of certification, that model, because we are already aligned to the federal requirements, but we also have to have that model managed. So we need to have the step by step on how to manage it, the way that we can trace it, the way that we're going to be monitoring, and then we go to the next step. Once that we have designed the service, we're able to operate the service, and we need to be mitigating the algorithmic bias. Algorithmic bias means whenever that you let your AI model running, like an unsupervised model, it's going to make decisions, right? So that's the whole purpose around, or that's the whole concept around unsupervised learning. But what happened when you have a hiring tool, right? You send the resume, your AI reads everything within your resume and says yes, no, you can be hired. You're not going to be able to get hired, right? And they just send you the rejection email saying, "I'm sorry, but your profile doesn't match with our current need, so we're going to say no." And that's one of the applications. And on that case specifically is, um, I think it was Google that he got noticed that the algorithm that they were using to identify the experience from the people or from the person that submitted their CV, it was giving more chances for men than for women. Uh, why? Because the bias on that algorithm was making that decision. So if they were submitting 100 CVs, they were giving more opportunities to the men profiles to the women's profiles. So that's today on a more ethical way to run the world is we need to have that ethic and the legal complaints very under monitoring. So if we're running these AI models and you see that you're going to start seeing deviations right on the results, you need to be able to mitigate those errors or those differences. On this case, there's a US EOC guidance on how to automated systems run without creating a legal or ethical concern, right? So that tool is going to let you know how far of you of that deviation for avoiding a impact on the business. There's other on the US side, there's a New York City local law that says that any algorithm needs to be audited to measure that deviation for each one of the models. What is it that it says, or what is it? What does it mean? So when you create your AI model, you're supposed to be the more how can I explain it? So whenever that you have your algorithm, the response or the answer is supposed to be one, right? So as you need to be very next to one as the result. That means that your model is your bias is running okay, so you don't have any deviation. But if your result by running training models with training or you're training new models with data and your result is going away from one, means that you have a deviation or a algorithm bias. So you need to audit your source data and you need to run your training model again to make sure that you're going back to the probability of occurrences. That is the as near as one as possible. That means that your model or your algorithm is running okay within your parameters. But if your result is moving away from one from 0.85, zero point 0.6, there's a huge deviation. So the algorithm bias is increasing. So that's something that you need to be monitoring constantly during the entire day, because your AI model is your LLM is out there, is being asked questions, and we need to make sure that it's securely stored on a cloud service, and we need to make sure that your algorithm is running without bias. Bias is that deviation. So we have the NWC Act, we have the EU AI Act as well for the human resources risks, because during the recruitment process, we are identifying that there's classification risks where they're giving privileges to the person because of a bias on their algorithm. And the strategy is how can we do it? I mean, We can use more training data models. Whenever that you create LLMs or the large language models to run on your AI application, a percentage of that data is being used to run those testing environments. So your same production data becomes a training set for you to run it and see how far or how near are you of one, like no deviations, right? And we always need to have a human in the data processing loop. So there's always need to be someone involved watching the data ingestion and the data process. All right. Um, let's move now for the data privacy. Yes.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I'm just, given that our audience is very much Uganda based, and a lot of them are looking at AI usage from the point of view of end users, what would you say are the key things that they need to look out for in terms of regulation? Because you touched on regulation that is, EU Act, GDPR, GDPR, but within the context of Uganda, what would you say are the regulations, the frameworks that the audience could perhaps be thinking about and applying to their usage of AI in their organizations?
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, no worries. Let me, okay, I have that one here. So right now, there's there's a assessment on the how the AI landscape was is been looked at, right, from the governance side. Let me, I have the act or the number. Hold on, give me 1 second there. I have that one here. There we go. Here it is. There, government, private sector collaboration. Okay. Um, the Data Protection and Privacy Act, established on 2019. That's your main AI regulation framework that you can use. There's no like newest model or framework to be used, but you can align your development effort based on this AI Act, like the AI policy that it's in place. So it's Data Protection and Privacy Act from 2019 that covers pretty much kind of the same that we were working here, right? So if it's either NIST or GDPR or NDPR, so it says you need to have your data secure. You need to be able to you need to harvest your data from an ethical way. I mean, we're not buying third-party databases. We're not using information without the user consent, and we need to have that. In this case, the cookie regulation, right, for web browsing, because we are always reading users' information. So we need to make sure that the people agrees to share their information, either browsing, personal history, or sensitive data. Sensitive data, as we were discussing it before, is like health condition, income, or information that can put the person in risk. So there's on this case, I think that the standard needs to come from the Uganda Communication Commission. They're the ones in charge of like delivering this new model, this new act. And what they're doing right now, they're aligning the effort to the UNESCO AI framework as well. So that's going to be a very interesting conversation between UNESCO and Uganda, because at the end the result needs to it has to be the same, right? Sensitive information, ethical way that you're getting your information, your users' data, right, to run your AI models, and using that Data Protection and Privacy Act from 2019. It needs to be updated, yes, because on the way that the AI development is been raising up every day, we need to come up with a solution for today's data processing and the future data security. So we're talking about post-quantum cryptography services to be able to store and secure the data. It has to be that needs to be part of the conversations on that new Privacy Act for Uganda. And the reason that we're talking about all these regulations is because every day we have those agents. We have those the RAC means the retrieve at runtime. So your RAC processes information that is running in your prompts, and you catch it on the process, right? And with the result, you create a new context or a new action. So is data always is continually being delivered on your pipeline, and we need to make sure that we're not going to have data leakage on that moment. So whenever that you build your model, it has to be secure enough to avoid prompt poisoning, or that you're jailbreaking your AI model. And on this case, specifically for Uganda, with the Data Protection and Privacy Act, it says that we're not supposed to be sharing the citizens' information at any time without their consent. And we need to be getting that source data from a ethical way, or like that with the user consent. And whenever, I don't know if anybody here is building or thinking about creating a AI application. But so for the Data Privacy Act, so the definitions of the data that we are protecting on this case is the authority that on this case is the technology authority that is providing you with the information, with the data. We have the personal data concept, the data subject on this case, if it's information that goes related to the personal data to create a profile, right? And the processor of that data. So there, each one of the processes for that data processing within your LLMs or your AI application, it has to be supervised. You need to make sure that nobody's able to get to the source of your information, or that anybody is able to get more out of a prompt without getting data leakage. So all of these acts says about the same. You're not supposed to create an application that gives false information. In this case, what we were talking about, the biases, right? Because it means that there is a deviation and your model is not being, it's not working for whatever that you created for. And also, you need to make sure, on this case, OpenAI or Anthropic nowadays, that they got a source code leaked on GitHub, so their entire platform was copied, and there's no IP or like rights of that new code because they put it out to the public. So whoever that grab a copy of the application was able to run their own company providing AI. So we need to make sure that privacy, cybersecurity, and your data is being stored on a secure way to prevent any like breaking the law in each one of your countries. So, and now,
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I've seen something in the chat. Someone saying Ugandan law is aligned to the GDPR, so that's a good point as well to make.
yeah, I mean, GDPR is like is supersedes all the federal acts per the country, but the main regulation is GDPR for I mean for the entire continent. So and from GDPR it goes by the country, but they're aligned to, exactly to GDPR. Thank you very much.
So maybe just to clarify then on the frameworks, you mentioned the ISO 42001.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 42001. Is that a framework that applies across the board? And at which level does it apply? Does it apply to from the governance perspective on the applications, or does it go lower? Just to clarify for us, for me, and for our audience as well. And maybe before you, if audience, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat so that we can address them as we go along. Thank you, Diego.
Sure. So ISO 42001 is the on-site certification process. So that gives you the tools and the controls to audit and monitor the performance and health of your organization's AI development. So there's a couple of more ISO models. Probably you heard ISO 9001. That is the management, the documentation management system. And from there, you can evolve if you're an IT company. You evolve to ISO 27001, that is the information security management system. It's a people-aligned certification process that has 80 some controls, 89 if I'm not mistaken, that tells you the way that you need to secure your environment, right? Not everything that it's on those 89 controls apply to your company, so you need to pick and choose the ones that works. So in ISO 42001, it's a worldwide regulation or a worldwide standard that tells the companies how they're supposed to be securing their AI models. It talks about who has access to the LLM data, the source of the data, how can you encrypt the information for your for the users, and how can you audit and like create that trail of information on every step. So ISO talks about the documentation process on monitoring your AI model and the way that anybody can go out and audit it because you have all your documentation and you have all the data, the historical data for every one of the process of and stages for the LLM models being used on your AI application. So ISO 42001, it's a worldwide administration process. Let's put it on that way. So it gives you the controls and the guidelines on how are you supposed to be running AI models on an ethical way. And from there, I mean, you can like align the creation of your SOPs or standard operational processes for your IT environment to the current legislation. In this case, for Uganda, we are using GDPR. On the US, we have NIST. So it goes for each one of the countries, right? And worldwide, there's another. That one is not a framework. It's more like an agreement in between the eight countries. I don't. Hiroshima Act. I think it was. Hiroshima. Let me just double check it just to make sure. Yeah, it's the Hiroshima AI process. is a group of the 7 leaders, and that's it supersedes the rest of the acts that we've been talking about, right? But that was more like a nice to have idea in between, or creating the collaboration in between those 7 countries. And from there, we start using like the regional, in this case, Europe, GDPR, and then we go down per each one of the countries for the local regulations. But all of them talks about the same. So we need to have the rights of the users to exploit the data. We need to have the consent of the user to harvest their data, and we need to have the security involved to be able to process that results with that user's data. So it's pretty much the same. It's just the difference on each one of the countries. But a important part of all of these acts says you need to have a human in the loop. So you're not supposed to be leaving your model running unsupervised by a human, because it's going to start it's going to start acting up, right? Like they say. So the act that regulates the use by agents, and they are creating multi-results without supervision, it's a risk. It's a risk and a big impact for your business, because if you let your AI model run in it without no human intervention or human supervision, it can provide false information, and the business impact for your organization, it's a high one. So the probability of occurrence of that risk, it increases, because it's just not about that they're going to talk bad about your companies, because people are going to start suing your business because you are providing false or wrong information. All right. So what is it that all of you AI leaders should know on the cases, specifically on this conversation for Uganda or Africa continent and around the world, where you are going to be providing consulting services, right? So we need to have we don't need to explain how are we going to do it. We need to use a regulatory framework, a legal requirement to run those AI models, because we're using users' private information to run the decisions in there. Because we're not talking about just an AI algorithm that gives you your Netflix ideas on what new movie are you going to be able to watch, right? We're talking about medical applications running your entire health history, and giving you the probability of of getting sick, or a probability of an illness in your body. We're talking about credit scores. We're talking about like Google giving you the instructions on how to drive from point A from point B, and without putting your person in risk, because it's sending you through a road that is not supposed to be for you. So that's a conversation that we're supposed to be having now. Not if AI is gonna stay, not if AI is gonna impact the world. It's already here. It's already changing the way that we're working. It's not going to take our jobs now. Absolutely not. AI is not here to take your job. But if you are able to work enhancing your abilities using AI, you're going to be on that group. That's for sure. So you need to get involved. You need to start losing that fear about prompting. Prompting it's a huge word that sounds like very convoluted, right? But at the end is you're just going to be asking questions. The way that you create the way that you ask your question is going to be the data that is going to the output of that data. So as good as the request, as good as the output. So that's a must-have. If you are going to be involved on Uganda, Africa, on the worldwide providing consultancy services, or if you're getting involved on the AI conversation, make sure to use on this case, the Uganda's Data Protection and Privacy Act. go and get certified on GDPR, go and use UAI certification, or at least get to know the act, or if you're going to start doing business in the US, go ahead and read your NIST AI framework, because you need to be informed. You need to make sure the way that your application or the way that your conversation is going to get along the around the world Privacy Act related. And I mean, AI, it's supposed to be automating processes, yes, but again, we're not supposed to give them full autonomy. And by autonomy, we're not talking about like Terminator, right? On the movie that the race of the machines and everybody's running away from all these robots. But if you are running on the first example, right? You're running a health AI model that predicts the probability of illnesses in your body. You need to be supervising if your algorithm is working and is giving you the right result, because on this case, something as sensitive as the user health information, if you provide a false a false result, it can damage the person. So this is where all of these regulations talks about the same. Don't harm the people, harvest the data from an ethical source, and put a cybersecurity framework in between your data process, right? And in this case, for the agentics or the rack, the architecture, don't automate everything. I mean, it sounds very exciting, but there's a lot of time being waste on automation of processes that takes you a couple of minutes, and everybody is trying to put all their small things or a small task for the day to day on a AI platform. And what we're doing, we're giving them more information for their models, and they get to know you more because they already have all your user information, all your browsing information. They have access to your email. So it's a huge security risk. Give a AI platform access to your email service, because they're gonna get to know you more than you ever even imagine, because they're reading your entire conversations, they're reading your problems, they're reading your debt, they're reading your privacy. So we need to put a line in between. AI is a tool that I can work with, that is gonna give me more speed or more quality on my work, yes. AI is not going to take my job, no. But we need to stop uh, giving them all your user information, because we are focused on the cybersecurity concept around there's data out there, right, publicly. And whenever that they hack any of those LLMs, or they hack any of those companies, all the information that you have from your email is gone. They're able to get your entire chat conversation, because it's already on the LLM. It's already publicly available. If they steal the database or that LLM, if they poison it. So LLM poisoning is you are working on your computer, you give them access to your email, to your team, to all your applications on your desktop. And all of that information is going up to a LLM model on the internet. So if I poison or jailbreak the LLM, I'm able to search for your information from my end without you even noticing it. So that's why using this data protection and privacy acts as the one for Uganda, we need to make sure that you're not sharing too many information. Make sure to stop giving them as all your user data, the day-to-day, even your banking information. I mean, we always are asking the companies to make them more cybersecurity resilient, but we need to stop giving them access to your information as easy as downloading a app and then to uploading it to the cloud. So on this case, there's still work to be done on the Uganda's Data Protection Act. Yes, it's never going to be enough. No, because this is changing every day. I mean, there's new AI models, there's new performance or tuning development processes. We were on the peak of the creation of AI models, and we're just right now it's not going to get any better in terms of hardware, right? So we need to start making it more efficient. In this case, we stop using those GPUs in parallel because you need to have a lot of intense CPU workloads or GPU processes. And now we're just tuning down the need of extreme hardware, and everything is, we have like 400 billion models now that you can run on your computer without the need of a high-end GPU farm. So we're just talking about the way that we can make it better without using that many resources. So the conversation is not about if AI is coming, if it's going to stay, if it's going to take your job. The conversation that we need to have today is those data and privacy acts, because you're providing them your entire information, your whole person. On these cases specifically with the local and state governments, they're collecting your eye signature. They're collecting your thumbnails as well. They are collecting your voice pattern as part of any of the state or local. For example, here in Mexico, specifically in Guanajuato, if you go and ask for a driver's license, they need to get your eyes scanned. They're going to scan your fingerprints, and they're going to get your voice pattern recognized. So you're going to read like a 6-paragraph text, and they have your voice pattern already stored. And I mean, and if you take a moment back and say, okay, this is the local government, right? This is the state government. They're supposed to be the ones that we can trust. So my data is going to be secure. That's what we think, right? On this case, with that Data Protection and Privacy Act, it says, yeah, you're supposed to be keeping my data secure. But what happened on the case of a cyber attack and they steal that data? Imagine what can the hackers do with 1 million voice pattern records, with your eyes, with the eye scan, with your fingerprints. So they're going to be cloning you, and that's a conversation about the AI leadership in your region, in your city, in your country. How are we going to be able to make the data processing part of the LLMs? The LLMs are the large language models used on AI. Despite the way that you process it, right? If it's supervised and supervised, the conversation needs to go back around how are we going to make, in this case, government or companies accountable for the data that we're sharing with them because they're supposed to be cyber secure. I'm okay with giving some part of my information, yes, but you need to provide me with a proof of my data is being secured. How? We need to have metrics, right? This is something that we're working with the state government here in Mexico. That I know you are the government. I know you have the funds. I know that you have the state regulations, but you need to provide me your score on how secure is your infrastructure. How many attacks have you been denying? How many people have you trained on cybersecurity? How many of these large language models are you able to hold and secure for how long? And what's the security that you have involved, right? I understand that nobody's going to give like the receipt or the step by step of how are they securing the data, because that's a way for the hackers to create a attack vector, right? But at least for us as the citizens and the owners of that data, we're supposed to know how good their security is. I'm okay with providing you with my information, but you need to provide me based on these Data Protection and Privacy Acts. We need to have the tools to go out and ask for the status of my data. How many times people have tried to steal it from you? How secure is your infrastructure? So that's what we need to be working, because if you go out there to the street, to your city, you have public lamps, right? So there's electricity out there. You know that there's water running into your house. You know that there's internet because you are able to browse the internet from your cell phone, your house. So that's happening here on the physical world, but on the cyber world, on the internet, we need to have the same controls as the policemen that we have on the street. We need to have it on the cybersecurity on the internet, and that needs to be aligned to data protection. Specifically, we need to make sure that there's no impact to the infrastructure and providing the services that the people need to browse securely on the internet. So that's a conversation that you as leaders are supposed to be having right now in day. So Uganda Privacy Act, GDPR, UAI, NIST, those are like the go-to frameworks, and they talk about the same, right? So and the regulation is going to be a ISO 42001 framework because you are going to be able to certify the way that you are treating your data on an ethical way, and that gives you like a broader view on how the AI models are running, how are they supposed to be protected, and specifically how many of your sensitive users or common information are you sharing with these AI models. So that's the conversation that it needs to be happening in your region, in your country, in your city. And we are here always eager to know the way that you're going to be handling it, the approach that you're going to be providing. If you want to share later with us at GSDC or with myself, you have my contact information there. I'm also in LinkedIn. You can search for my profile. It's my same name, Diego Gonzalez. If you want to drop me a line, if you want to like chat about any ideas that you have, or what's the safest path, or how can I start to get involved on AI politics, on AI regulations in your country, in your city. So I
Thank
don't know,
you.
Josephine, if there's any questions from the audience at this point.
Yes, yes, they are. So thank you so much. This has been a great presentation. I think it's very eye-opening in terms of the many regulations that there are. So I'll start with the first question. I think somebody wanted to, VAI, I think that's one of our members, wanted you to elaborate more on the policy case studies around agentic AI. I think maybe just to advise how would this agentic AI be regulated, for instance?
I mean, it's kind of the same part of the algorithm bias, right? So the agentic AI is the automation of your processes using AI. So what is it? I'm trying to look for a good example. So if you have your for example, if you're delivering water, right, to the entire country, and you let your AI model determine how many water or how much water are you supposed to use on those pipes to be delivered to city A, B, or C. If you create an agentic AI, it's gonna base on the information that we have out there on the city. It's gonna decide which of the cities gets the water first, right? Let's put it that as an example. So if we don't supervise the data source from where the agent is making that decision, we are sending water for a city that it doesn't need it on that case, right? So what I'm trying to say is the algorithm is going to make a decision that it's out of the bias. I mean, it's a deviation and is making a wrong decision. So what happened, or what is the conversation around that one? So who's responsible of the bad decisions of those agents? The person who designed the service, the person who runs the service, the person who owns the service. So on this case, the regulation on the EU Act, I'm not sure on the Data Privacy Act for Uganda is not covered yet, but the conversation here is who's going to be responsible for those bad decisions, right? So it's going to be a business impact. You need to sue the company because they mistreated the information that you were asking. And I know that the final decision or the idea around creating AI model is to automate continuous task. But there's to be, we need to have a human in the loop, a human in the middle to make sure that there's no deviations on your algorithm. So that's something you need to be testing continuously. And if you find any gap, if you find any deviation from your core process, you need to fix it. So if you have those impacts on the business, you need to fix it as soon as possible to avoid getting a bigger impact for your organization. So agentic, yes, the conversation around that one is who's responsible for the decision making and the impact of that decision making on the automation of agents. So yeah, liability that should be for agentics.
Thank you very much for that. Then there's a comment from Casey. I think it's a comment. I'm not sure if it's a question. He says, your comments on enforcement of regulations, treaties, or related international law on AI, if any, given the history of enforcement of international law. I think the question is, how is the enforcement done? I think that's the question. I think, yeah.
There's no way to measure it because at the end, for example, on the G7, they come up with a Hiroshima Act that says treat the data ethically and responsibly, right? And securely. But there's no scoring, there's no KPIs around the way that you are protecting your data. How are you able to measure it? There's where ISO 42001 comes in place because you have the controls, you're able to audit it, and you're able to show the history of the way that your model or your infrastructure around the AI is working. So how there's no like global act that measures the results? Way deploying these controls on ISO 42001.
So in the enforcement, then I think the question was on enforcement.
For the yeah, I mean there's no way to measure it. I mean, all of the governments are going to ask you to make the best effort, right? Business possible, but there's no way for them to audit globally. It has to go more like a local or a state regulation to reinforce the use of resilient AI models. Because the nearest one that we can enforce is 42001 because you are committed with your environment to treat and deploy secure AI models. And that'll be like your personal commitment or the company's commitment on enforcing the ethical way of AI models. But global, country, state, or city enforcement, no, there's none. I mean, it's up to you, pretty much.
Yeah, thank you. And we have lots of questions, so this is good. How should MA is asking, Mariam is asking, how should organizations prepare themselves for these AI policies?
The right way to start is 42001. I mean, 42001 gives you the controls because it's more like people centric, and that's like the start point because it's a company and the high direction engagement with the rest of the organization to say we're going to treat data securely and we're going to treat the data ethically. So the right way to start getting involved is either GDPR from a framework perspective, and then we can go to the Uganda Data and Privacy Act, but aligned to a framework that is worldwide recognized, in this case, a ISO framework. That'll be like the start point. So GDPR and Uganda Privacy and Data Act and the ISO 42000 controls.
So potentially start the development of your policies with reference and these to the GDPR and the framework.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, because it depends on your even by the country. Each one of the states has a different privacy models, because everybody is talking about AI. Everybody's talking about data privacy. Everybody is talking about data protection, but nobody has like a single main document that covers for all. So yeah, I would say like local regulations plus controls and like country type GDPR regulation.
Okay, thank you. William is asking, can you elaborate on RAG? What do you mean by that?
There, RAG. RAG. What is it that is do is when you are automating a process with your AI, right? It's a multi-step automation process. RAG, what it does is um, grabs the result of one of those processing steps of the data and creates a new set of automation processes from there. So imagine RAG as you are trying to automate a chatbot for people who's looking to get support for a plumbing service, right? So something's wrong with the water at your house, and you go out to the internet, Reddit, Facebook, and you type about that you're mad because something happened in your house, so with the water. So what we do with Rock is we go ahead and web scrap all these social websites. We identify the name of the profile that is talking about water problem house issues, and we are going to be responding back with any random comment on that post with the name of your business, on this case plumbing services. So RAG, what it does is goes out, reads a huge amount of data, and it reads from that data pipeline your uh, your uh, your concepts of business. In this case, water, plumbing service, uh, and creates a different process. I'm trying to think a different way on how to explain it, but the rack is when something that is being processed continuously comes up as part of a rules of engagement, is going to create another task. For example, if you have your AI connected to your email, and you have an email that comes in saying purchase order approved, what the RAG does is it creates a process based on that email, and it's going to reply based on the person who sent you the email with the documents that it's asking to create the invoice for that purchase order. So it's it's an agent that runs a different task based on source of data. So if you input one, it detects that rules of engagement as one and creates another process automatically. And that's the like unsupervised models. So that's why we were talking about is you need to make sure how many data are you sharing with your AI models or your AI web apps, because in this case, providing RAG with your data, it's going to read your entire emails. And that information is going up there to the cloud because they need to create a LLM model for them to know what they're going to be answering for. So RAG is a automation of processes that captures data and identifies keywords on that data pipeline and runs a different process. So that's what RAG means. So it's a automation process, like an agent that runs automatically.
Okay, William, I hope that's clear. But I think, as Diego said, you can always consult further, and I
Exactly.
think I'll also talk about what we can provide in terms of Vision Africa AI in terms of training on that. There was one other comment. I think this was from David Jose, sorry. he's making a comment. He's saying Uganda will need data privacy regulations on AI, complement the Data Privacy Act in 2019, which is based on the GDPR before 2020. I think that's more a comment than anything. I think as you said, the regulations will have to keep developing. I think the Data Privacy Act, I don't know if it covers enough on the AI side. So I think, as you said, it will keep on developing. But I don't know if you have any further comment on that comment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't know if there are any more questions on the chat. I think we've reached the top of the hour, and that is more or less our master class. Any questions, anyone? No, I don't see any further questions. So Diego, just want to say on behalf of Vision Africa AI that this has been a very insightful conversation. We really appreciate you've brought to the table. We appreciate that you've given us practical reference points in terms of AI regulation and AI and basically AI governance for our leaders here today. And I think there have been so many takeaways. I think for me, a key takeaway is that the AI laws are already here and they're already applying. And that we really cannot afford to be non-compliant, because non-compliance sometimes can be a human cost. It won't just be a legal cost, it can be a human cost. So we also need to look at this as compliance being a competitive advantage. And of course, you also mentioned that certifying knowledge is so important. As Vision Africa AI, able to provide the knowledge, depth of knowledge, enable our organization to embrace AI to start their journey. So thank you very much, Diego, for your time, and highly appreciate it, and also appreciate the support of GSDC Advisor team. As we close, I think I want us all to reflect really on where AI is currently being, the risks that we have. More importantly, out of this, it's one action. It's one action. Either I could, for instance, conduct an AI audit organization. Perhaps we don't even know what AI we are using, but we should really, really invest, and Diego is certifying our knowledge, getting that knowledge, getting certified. So investing in AI literacy, ensure that we understand the tools, understand and their impact, and we also appreciate the depth of them. So finally, then, I think on behalf of Vision Africa, I want to say that Vision Africa here to support and partner with audience. We are able to provide through support with GSDC, with experts like Diego, and provide practical guidance across AI policy development, across governance framework, across regulatory alignment, across capacity rebuilding. And it's through these programs, this expertise, that we as Vision Africa AI can help organizations translate their AI journeys into very practical steps. We have a website where all our courses are outlined. There are a lot of certification courses, AI prompting. So please visit our Vision Africa website and have a look at all the courses that we have available. So on that note, I know there are no further questions. It is again to say thank you, Diego. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience for showing us in such large numbers. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate the richness of this composition, Diego. So thank you very much, and I bring this masterclass to a close. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Dyson, you want to add something?
Dyson, sorry, you have one. Please go ahead, Dyson. Dyson, your hand
Okay,
is
thank
up.
you very much. Yes, thank you very much. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Diego for this afternoon's exposure on this topic, and to you, Josephine, for moderating very well. So on behalf of the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda, we are really appreciative for the webinar we have had today. And to all our members who attended, I could see a lot of them on. Please, we shall be having this thing regularly together with Vision Africa. Tentatively, we are looking at every Thursday. So I will, on my part, I would like to call on members. We need to know these things, the way Diego has expressed it. You cannot run away from it now. It is here with us. We need just to be part of the global society in as far as AI is concerned. So I call upon all our members, please, every Thursday, tune in. We shall be giving you the information. And for those who are not yet members of ICGU, please do join us. We have to work in this thing together. I'd like to thank you very much once again. And congratulations and thank you, Diego, for the good job well done. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Dyson. Thank you very much, Josephine.
Thank you, Dyson.
And thank you all for assisting
thank
today.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Josephine.
James,
Thank you,
anything
Diego.
to
No, I think I'm just happy. I'm happy the way the session has gone, and also the colleagues who joined us from Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. We're going to make sure that we develop this collaboration, and for all the other members who are coming, especially our patrons of Vision Africa AI, our strategic partner, the Global Skill Development Council. It's a good place to close, and see you next Friday, next week on Thursday. Thank you very much. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dyson.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.